A tragedy at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Two students recently dying of suicide, and it is starting a conversation nationwide about the risk our teens face, both in high school and when they go off to college, as they contend with issues of mental health. What needs to be done? Is this a new phenomenon, or have we just turned a blind eye to it or not talked about it? Leigh Richardson is here, founder of the Brain Performance Center, to talk more about this. And Leigh, let's start with that very question. Are we just hearing more about what has been a problem for a long time, or has something shifted in our culture, in our social culture, that is that explains why we're seeing these suicides on college campuses?
Well, suicide is up. Since 2000, it's up 30%. So it is happening more. Worldwide, it's 1 in 100. And I think that, suicide has a lot to do with mental health. And when you go away to college, or maybe you're alone for the very first time, you don't have your support system. You don't have people that really check on you, that really know you well. And a lot of suicide relates to impulsivity. And, the biggest factor is depression. There's a clear link between suicide and PTSD.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because we've talked a bit about recognizing mental health among high school students. So the sooner we recognize the potential for a mental health crisis, are we going to be better prepared when somebody leaves that safety and comfort of home and they're triggered in a new way, in a new environment? Why is it that college campuses are not more mindful that as these students enter their schools, far from home in many cases, and may have underlying conditions? I'm just sort of wondering. I think back to my college years and think, I don't remember us ever having a conversation about how students were dealing with feelings of loneliness or the challenges that come with trying to assimilate into a new environment.
I don't think that universities are completely ready. I think that they are beginning to recognize the importance. And the most important thing for anyone that is experiencing they're down, they're out, is to have someone to talk to. And it's just someone to tell them, you're going to be okay. It's okay to not be okay. There's options. There are things that, ways to get help, because suicide is a cry out for help, and a lot of the time they need help, they just don't know how to get it.
I think it's important. A therapist friend of mine told me this some years back when we saw Anthony Bourdain and Robin Williams. He said people don't commit suicide because that insinuates they've done an act that's almost criminal in nature. They die of it because it's a symptom of an underlying cause, and it's the most irreversible symptom. It's the impulsivity. And in many cases, when somebody dies of suicide, that act, they believe, is a gift they're giving to others. They don't believe their presence here is anything more than an encumbrance to others. Is that sort of how we can frame this conversation?
I think that's a great way to frame it, because they feel like they're a burden to everybody else. And I've been touched by suicide personally and professionally, and was completely blown away by it. You can't see it coming. It just comes, and I think it happens so quick, because in that moment the person feels so helpless and feels like, life would be easier for everybody if I just wasn't here. Yeah.
Well, let's hope that this conversation will continue and real action will happen. The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill is canceling classes tomorrow in order to focus solely on the root cause of suicide among college-age students in light of these two deaths on their campus. There are other deaths unreported on other campuses around the country, and we hope that they find a solution to this. And with awareness comes a solution, I hope. Leigh, and I know that's the business you're in, is making people aware, so we appreciate you being here. And the brainperformancecenter.com, you can go there for information as well. And on Facebook, they also tackle the issues of depression, mental health, and suicide.